especially out here on the West Coast, we've seen significant appreciation both in principal residences and also second properties, whether rental properties or cabins or cottages. What tax perspective can you provide for Canadians about what they should be thinking about when passing real estate from one generation to the next? And I'll just comment one other item on there. I did a recent workshop on second properties and passing them. So I'd be interested to hear what your perspective is in terms of, are there any tax effective ways, whether living or come estate time, to keep that family in the property or in the keep that property in the family?
Yeah, Wes, and the cottage is such, or cabin, depending where you are in the country, it's such an emotional decision. So first of all, we're thinking about often, and certainly many of my friends, my own family, that cottage has been in the family for decades. So I want to think about, well, the capital gain, when it's disposed of. Well, you know what the proceeds are for that, but what's the cost of that cottage? And it could have been many years ago. And so you're going through the original cost. Okay, you might find the paperwork for that. But then what you want to do is also find out, have there been capital improvements to the cottage? And it really needs to be an improvement where you've put on, like, say, an addition, made something better than it was before. Because what we're trying to do is bring up the cost to put it as high as we can. So we're going to reduce that capital gain and make it as small as we can. And then, because in a scenario, the principal residence exemption might have been used on the primary home, but there is a consideration. You want to look at, well, where's the biggest gain between the cottage or the house? You don't have to choose, say, your city home to be the principal residence for tax purposes. You could say that the cottage was your principal residence. So you want to look at where is the biggest gain. So that's the real what you want to be thinking about. And then the next part, well, we're getting more into the more family dynamic of it all. And it's really having that transparent discussion with the children. I often talk to parents who it's their dream. They feel passionate. They want to leave the cottage to their adult children. And I also hear from the flip side, from the adult children who aren't really interested in the cottage the way they thought they might be. They can't afford to maintain the cottage because they don't have the means to be able to do that. And another consideration, sometimes parents want to leave it to, say, 3 adult children. And how are 3 adult children going to be able to co-own a property that's worth sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars or more? So there's a lot of emotional side of how would you navigate this that needs to be thought about as well. And then the final piece is, well, say you want to transfer it. Well, do you do it now or do you do it later? So now you'd be triggering that gain. So that means you're paying taxes today. If you do it later, well, that's a deferral strategy. That's could work as well too. But sometimes the parents aren't interested in owning it or maintaining it. So there's a lot of different factors that go into this consideration. So it's thinking about what do you want, having that conversation within the family, and then figuring out how to do it in the most tax efficient way.
I think what I'm actually hearing, I heard 2 things there that I picked up on. Number one, obviously, maintaining records, I think, is important from a tax perspective. We have conversations with people that say that it's in a shoebox under the bed in the back corner and they have to try and track it down. And I say that tongue in cheek. But the second one, and we've talked about this earlier, but is actually getting proper planning and working with a professional to uncover some of these various strategies, whether today or in the future, and address these tax concerns.